Hello guys, my name is Kevin and I would like to do a presentation today regarding the Bitcoin halving, which is coming up in roughly a week, so around May 15th of 2020. Now, before I start talking about the halving, I feel like I should discuss or give a brief discussion of what Bitcoin is, so that everyone that's listening right now can be on the same page and have the same level of basic understanding of what this technology is. So, Bitcoin was created in 2008, and Bitcoin is created by a person, or it could be an organization or group. We don't really know for sure. The only thing we know is that whoever made Bitcoin goes by the alias of Satoshi Nakamoto. So the idea of Bitcoin is to be a currency, a value, which is not controlled by any entity such as the government. So the question then becomes, how does Bitcoin create value? Well, to give Bitcoin value, the creators of Bitcoin capped Bitcoin supply to 21 million. And it's this limiting supply that creates a sense of scarcity, which gives Bitcoin its value. Also, Bitcoin is built on top of a blockchain technology. And it's this blockchain technology that helps make the whole system decentralized and prevent any central authority, such as a government, from taking over. Now, you may be thinking to yourself or wondering, what is blockchain and what is decentralization and what does it all mean? Well, to give a brief rundown, here is a simple illustration of how decentralization will work. So, at the top right here is Bitcoin's network. Just imagine there's a Bitcoin's network and that you have computers. So this computer right here will connect to Bitcoin's network. When it's connected to it, its job is to help maintain the network, make sure that everything's running smoothly and correctly and that the network is doing what it's supposed to do. And then later on, you have another computer that might connect onto Bitcoin's blockchain or Bitcoin's network and help contribute to it as well. And afterwards, you get more people and more people who would want to help contribute to the network. And eventually, you go from this simple diagram to something much more complicated. So here is an example of a network that on Bitcoin. So as you can see, each one of these dots on here represents a computer. And all these computers in here work together to help create Bitcoin's network and help keep it decentralized. So what does it mean to be decentralized? Well, it means that there is no one central unit of control. So in this network, not one of these computers have more power than the other. And it's this authority, this balanced level of authority that keeps this whole system decentralized. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, wait, what about these right here? There's these spots around the graph that seem to have a lot of influence, where a lot of computers are pointing towards it. And you're correct. There are a lot of computers pointing towards that one spot, which may make it seem like it is very decentralized or centralized. However, if you were to go inside, if you were to zoom in to this one spot, of course I can't really show it on here since this is just an image. But if you were to zoom in on this one dot, you would realize that this one dot is made up of several more computers, several more dots. And that is something that's happening throughout all of these computers in these dots, to where everywhere there is some computer that is helping to run the network. Now, what is really fascinating about decentralized concepts is that it's really hard to take down. So let's say the government wants to come in and take down this network. How would they do it? Well, they could start removing these computers one by one. However, that would be really costly, and it's nearly impossible, because as long as one of these computers is active, then the whole system, the whole network can still survive, making it really hard for any entity to both take control and or stop this technology from advancing and getting much connected. So enough about the whole Bitcoin and decentralization stuff. Let's talk about the halving. Well, so what is the halving exactly? Well, the halving is an event that occurs every 210,000 blocks that gets mined on the blockchain on Bitcoin's blockchain network. So, what is a block, you might ask? Well, a block is just a way that Bitcoin stores transactions. So anytime a person on the network goes on and makes a transaction in Bitcoin, that transaction gets documented permanently and recorded onto one of these blocks. And it's kind of as a proof that everything has happened, that this transaction did actually happen and it's not just faked or something. So every 210,000 blocks, you get a halving. And this halving reduces block rewards. So what is a block reward, you might ask? Well, a block reward is something that is given to the miners. And miners are people who contribute to the network. So, for example, a miner would have computers set up, and their computers might look something like this. So on the left side is a miner, and on the right side is a farm, a mining farm. So both of these people are doing the same thing, which is they're trying to contribute to the network by helping to solve algorithms, and the network rewards them by giving them block rewards. So, for example, in the beginning, each block yields 50 rewards, 50 bitcoins. However, over time, with each halving, the block gets reduced. The block reward gets reduced. So now, the current block reward is 12.5. So after the halving that's going to come soon, the block reward will once again shrink by half into 6.25. And so that will significantly cut down on the amount of money that these miners will be able to make whenever they successfully mine a block reward, which is going to put a lot of strain on these miners because they have to buy a lot of computer hardware. So, like, for example, each one of these computers here costs hundreds of dollars, and you have to have a lot of these computers to stay competitive. And that's just the hardware part. You also have to spend a lot of electricity to help mine the Bitcoin. So each Bitcoin requires around $3,000 to $7,000 worth of electricity a month, depending on where you live, and that is expensive. And the miners, these people, had to pay for it. So here is another graph that kind of represents the same thing, which shows the halving and over the years. So you can see that the halving occurs roughly every 4 years, and you may be wondering why 4 years? What's the significance of this number? Well, so the way the blockchain works for Bitcoin is that every block by design takes roughly 10 minutes to solve. And whenever you just multiply 210,000 blocks by 10 minutes, you get roughly 4 years in time before the next 210,000 batch of blocks gets mined. And that is where you get this 4-year gap throughout the halving. Now you might be wondering that why is it saying 2009 here? Didn't I say that Bitcoin came out in 2008? Well, so there's two ways to look at it. So yes, the concept of Bitcoin came out in 2008 in the form of a white paper. However, it wasn't until a year later that the actual program, the actual code and the project itself was created and launched into the public. So 2008, 2009, that's roughly, either one of them is correct depending on which stance you're on. So Here is another chart, and it just shows the inflation of Bitcoin. As you can see, on the red part, it shows the inflation rate. So I'm not going to focus too much on the monetary currency part of inflation, but rather the Bitcoin's inflation rate, which is decreasing because of the halving. Now, if you're wondering whether or not this halving ever ends or does it go forever, well, the answer is it does end. The Bitcoin program, hard codes 64 halvings into the system. So Bitcoin is about to go into its third halving. And by the time it goes through all 64 halvings, it'll be roughly the year 2150. So it's going to be a while before all Bitcoins are mined. But moving on. So the halving, why is everyone so caught up with the halving? At least that's what it seems like. Well, it's because historically speaking, the past two halvings have brought a lot of attention in terms of how much money you can make from investing in Bitcoin. And people are using the past history to kind of predict and kind of say that, hey, maybe this time the price will also go up. And everyone who missed the previous halvings are trying to catch this next wave in hopes of perhaps striking rich. So that's really all the halving is in a nutshell. It's mainly just hype. However, there is a method to this madness. This hype does have some legs, or at least some reason behind this belief. So the reason why people believe that the price of Bitcoin will rise is that whenever, well, at least before, miners, or even now, miners have to immediately sell their Bitcoin whenever they successfully mine a block reward in order to cover costs such as electricity, rent, or just any hardware expenses. And so whenever they get their block reward, they sell it immediately. So before, they were selling 12.5 Bitcoins every time they were getting a block reward. However, because of this halving, that reward gets cut to 6.25, meaning that the miners will only be able to sell 6.25 Bitcoins every time they mine a reward. So in other words, the demand is the same. The demand for Bitcoin has been the same, but the supply of Bitcoin has been reduced, as in like the number of limited available Bitcoins that can be freshly received from the block reward has shrunk, which causes the supply shrink, and that is partly how these people see for how the price of Bitcoin can skyrocket, and what will lead to another bull rally. Bitcoin has also gained a lot of traction lately, especially from people such as Raoul Pal, who is a financial advisor that gives financial advice to people of high net worths. And in one of Raoul's research report that he revealed, he makes a claim of a potential $1 million Bitcoin in the future, which helps further the case of Bitcoin's popularity and awareness throughout the world. Not only that, but you're also seeing companies such as Grayscale popping up, which are just companies out there who will help manage people's Bitcoins for them. One of the interesting things that was discovered with Grayscale was that whenever they released their quarterly reports, that there were people speculating that based on that report, that Wall Street is working through them to help them buy some Bitcoins. So is Bitcoin the future? Well, it's kind of hard to say, especially with all the uncertainty and hype regarding the Bitcoin halving coming up soon. However, it is likely that Bitcoin is showing us a glimpse of the future. So recently, the Federal Reserve stated that they're looking into creating their own digital currency. Now, only time will tell what that may mean. So with Bitcoin's halving coming close, it will only be a matter of time before we can see the impact of the halving, for better or for worse. Thanks for listening to my presentation, and have a nice day.